Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm happy to see that you decided to stop by to watch this video presentation. I created this video presentation from an article that I wrote last week. I revisited this article that I wrote back in October 2015. I think the information is important for brain injury survivors or people living with brain injuries to realize that they don't have to be stuck in their awareness. To read the article, I'll put my glasses on and bring up the article. I want to thank you for your time. And here's the article. Excuse me. I wrote this article why I needed to challenge my brain injury awareness to encourage individuals living with brain injuries who may be having a difficult time because they feel stuck, having a difficult time moving from or beyond brain injury awareness, as I did, to moving to being aware and then being able to accept what we could not change, to move forward in their lives and their brain injury recovery process to create a good life for themselves. What I found through my recovery process and experience, I found that awareness only identified. Awareness offered information but did not offer solutions. Awareness kept me focused on symptoms. Awareness kept me searching for silver bullets and magic potions. Awareness in and of itself kept me guessing and offered little hope. Could not do anything different. In my experience, I remained stuck in my awareness or in the awareness of my traumatic brain injury because I did not know. I did not know that I could do anything different. In my experience, I remained stuck in the awareness of my brain injury because I had no idea how to connect the dots. How to connect the dots to be able to accept my deficits and limitations, to be able to accept my deficits and limitations but not be stuck by them, to be able to take a different course of action, a different course of action to enhance my life as an individual living with the impact of a brain injury, but not limited. Here's a quote that I wrote. For me, awareness in and of itself left me out in the cold with little hope. Awareness gave me the key to open the door to move beyond my limitations, but did not help me to turn the key. Brain injury awareness only made me aware, but did little to show me how I could move forward with my life, living with the impact of my brain injury. In my experience, I found that my brain injury awareness only reinforced what scientific studies, findings, and realistic expectations offered and wanted me to believe about myself, which resulted in me keeping the focus on symptoms. I found that awareness alone offered me little hope because awareness focused on symptoms. Little hope beyond awareness of being a brain injury survivor. The awareness that resulted in being labeled, stereotyped, and stigmatized. The awareness that led me to believe that I was limited and not able to move beyond the awareness of my brain injury. And it did not seem possible. But what I discovered was that moving beyond awareness helped me to accept what I could not change so that I could do something different with my life that would empower me to get into action, to advocate for myself, action that would motivate and empower my ability to advocate for myself to improve my brain and body connection, advocate for myself to enhance my life, well-being, and relationships, advocate for my mind, body, spirit, soul, and emotions in my ongoing brain injury recovery process. Through my awareness and acceptance of what I could not change, I realized that I needed to move beyond the box of expectations that offered little hope, the box of expectations that led me to believe that my identity as an individual living with a brain injury was tied to the brain injury, that my hope was tied to findings and results from studies instead of what I could create beyond, create beyond the results of samplings, studies, and findings. Led me to believe that I could only hope for what was based and tied to results from sampling, studies, and their findings, scientific research. I also discovered that challenging these results and findings was discouraged. Discouraged because the scientific community and inquiry, as well as the brain injury uh, industry, knew better than boots on the ground experience. To challenge the results of these studies and findings was discouraged and met with minimization, marginalization, dismissing, and discounting. Discouraged from coloring outside the box of studies and findings. As a result, I was led to believe that I needed to color within the lines, within the lines of studies, findings, and expectations. Consequently, I was led to believe that little hope existed beyond those studies, findings, and expectations. Unconsciously, I was led to believe that there was little hope beyond my awareness and led to believe about myself and was led to believe about myself what I discovered. What I discovered was that I could color or create outside the lines of studies, findings, and expectations. Studies, findings, and expectations that gave me increased awareness, but in effect did not provide solutions. What I discovered through confronting the awareness offered by studies, findings, and expectations was that I could create a good life for myself, and that my worth value and identity was not limited to and by the awareness offered from and through the results of studies, findings, and expectations. I share this with you based on being told by a neuropsychologist after my neuropsychological evaluation. He stated, "You achieve far beyond all reasonable expectations through sheer persistence and motivation." I could create hope. What I discovered was that I could indeed create hope beyond what studies, findings, and expectations wanted me to believe about myself because of my brain injury. What hope helped me to realize was that I did not have to play by the rules of the awareness given through scientific studies, findings, and expectations. The rules that led me to believe that I needed to stay in the box created by those studies, findings, and expectation. That is why. That is why I needed to move beyond the mere awareness communicated by the identity created by the awareness. Needed to needed to confront the identity communicated by the awareness that the scientific community wanted me to believe about myself and what I could and could not achieve, moving from bitter to better. As I realized I could as I realized that I could create hope in my life, I found that I was able to move from beyond being bitter to being able to be better in my life. So I was able to move from being bitter to being better through moving through or from awareness to acceptance. Awareness to acceptance because of the way my life had been impacted by my traumatic brain injury. Move from being aware through the grieving process to being able to accept what I could not change so that I could create my identity. Create my own identity beyond the identity of a diagnosis, a label, a stereotype, and a stigmatization, all of which kept me focused on the awareness of symptoms. Instead of realizing that by accepting what I could not change, I could get into action. To move beyond the box of awareness to create my own identity in my new normal. Never be bullied into silence. Never allow yourself to be made a victim. Accept no one's definition of your life. Define yourself. And that's a quote by Robert Frost. Be aware. People cannot give us what they themselves do not possess. Nevertheless, people can use what they don't possess to exploit vulnerable people. Vulnerable people, such as individuals living with the impact of traumatic and acquired brain injuries. Vulnerable people who can then unknowingly be taken advantage of. Taken advantage of, leaving them feeling victimized. Victimized without them even knowing why. I needed to grow in awareness and acceptance so as not to be taken advantage of and or victimized. Very important to move beyond our brain injury awareness. That is why it's so very important to move beyond our brain injury awareness, so that we do not find ourselves exploited and victimized. To move beyond our brain injury awareness to discover what works for us. What works for us instead of being told what will and what will not work for us. Again, what works for us instead of being told what will and what will not work for us. That is why I needed to challenge my brain injury awareness. That is why I needed to challenge my awareness through studies, findings, and expectations. I needed to grieve the awareness of my brain injury to be able to move beyond the box of vulnerability, beyond the box given by those studies, findings, and subsequent expectations. Through moving beyond awareness and accepting my deficits and limitations, I was able to move from being bitter to better, moving beyond the box of awareness. So, through moving from bitter to better, I was able to get into action. Through taking action to move from bitter to better, I've been able to move beyond what other people may want or need me to believe because of my brain injury. I have been able to recognize when I am being exploited and taken advantage of for whatever reason. I've been able to move beyond the box of the awareness of what studies and findings wanted me to believe. The box of awareness that wants to keep me focused, dependent, and limit me to silver bullets and magic potions. The silver bullets and magic potions that come out of sampling, studies, and findings. The box that seeks to limit and harness my ability to discover what I'm capable of accomplishing. What I'm capable of accomplishing as I discover how to use my passions, gifts, talents, and abilities. Use my gifts, talents, and abilities to fulfill my purpose. Use my gifts, talents, and abilities to fulfill my purpose in ways that work for me. My encouragement to you. If you're living with the impact of a brain injury, I would encourage you to be aware. Be aware to challenge your brain injury awareness. Challenge your brain injury awareness if your awareness is keeping you stuck. Stuck believing that you are limited. Limited because of what you may have been led to believe about yourself because of sampling, studies, findings, and expectations. If you feel stuck, I would encourage you to find ways to create your own new normal. Create your own new normal beyond stereotypes, labels, stigmatizations, diagnosis, prognosis, or any other things that people want you to believe about yourself. Find ways to use your gifts, talents, and abilities in ways that will work for you. Work for you to fulfill your passion and purpose. Fulfill your passion and purpose one day at a time. And then at the end of this article, I have a guide from symptoms to solutions. I have a presentation that I created by the title of Believing in Ourselves Through Self-Advocacy, Owning Our Power presentation. I'm available to give this presentation to your group, hospital, organization, or in any other venue through Zoom or in person. This is the end of the video presentation. I would invite you to subscribe to my channel so that when I do present new presentations here, that you would be notified. I want to thank you again for your time. Please let me encourage you with this. Do not give up on yourself or your or loving God or your process, because more will be revealed to you with time. The pieces of the puzzle will come together in the correct order and at the right time. I'll say so long for now. Have a super day, and God bless both you and your family. Bye now.